Today, we are going to start with the news that the Golden Globes are adding Best Podcast as a category in the show beginning in 2026. What do we think about this? And it's a big deal because it's the first time that a kind of a major award show is adding a podcast category. And Golden Globes is big time. So what do we think about this move?
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, Golden Globes are big time, podcasts are big time. Like, you got to hear this stat that the Globe cited. A recent data point estimates that the global podcast audience will exceed 600 million people within the next year.
Wow.
And I can speak, for me personally, podcasts have usurped a lot of the radio I listen to, a lot of the TV, and there is this blurring of lines now between podcasts and television.
Yeah.
YouTube is actually the most popular podcast platform because podcasts these days, a lot of them are recorded for video.
1000%.
So you're seeing a blurring of lines anyway. Why not recognize the hard work? Why not recognize the production? I don't see anything wrong with it.
What do you think, Cardi?
I think what's interesting is that many moons ago, I stopped listening to music in my car most of the time, and I find it extremely calming to listen to podcasts all the time. Yeah. So this became a part of my everyday, I'd say within the last 10 years for sure. So it's like, everything from, rest in peace to Combat Jack, all the way to one of my favorites is Trevor Noah right now. His podcast is super amazing. Yeah. So I'm a big podcast person.
Yeah, you know what? I think this is a great idea, and I think the other award shows should also follow suit. The Grammys, the Emmys, because let's be real, the media landscape has changed so much. Just last week we were talking about the fact that YouTube has celebrated 20 years.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why a lot of these award shows have such low ratings is because people are not watching these shows, they're watching other things. So why don't add those categories and bring that audience in? And I also just hope that if they're going to do this, I hope that they don't make this a popularity contest.
Yes.
My fear is just going to be the Joe Rogans and Call Her Daddy. I hope they have different categories and certain criteria for you to win. Because as we know, everybody and their mama has a podcast. And hopefully, if they have criteria and there is a Golden Globe to win, people will be more conscious and more thoughtful about the content that they put out there. So I see it as a win-win. They should have done this 5 years ago, actually.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's the evolution of media. Just like once upon a time, there were never Netflixes and streamers and craves in the world, and now we stream everything. So you had to really start to bring them in a very real way. Otherwise, you're going to lose viewers and never get them back. I love that you brought up what is the criteria, because there are literally hundreds of thousands of podcasts, right? So how are they going to determine who gets in? Because let's not forget, there are so many genres, just like music. There are genres. There's health podcasts, there's entertainment podcasts. And here's the thing, some of the biggest podcasts in the world, they actually blur the line of entertainment and journalism. And some of them are so big, but that doesn't mean that they are without controversy. So for example, Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett, he's one of the top podcasts in the world, and he's really, really, really big now. The problem is the BBC just did this huge write-up and investigation that the problem with his show is that he is peddling medical misinformation. Major. He had a guest on his show that said the keto diet will cure cancer. Now, you cannot have that and not have a journalist sitting on the other side who's going to challenge medical statements like that are simply untrue, and he's number one. So if he gets in as a top podcast, I'm also really worried for the rest of us.
But
I'm not going to lie.
I really think that's what's happening within not just the world of podcasting, but the entertainment business, period. Because a lot of people, we kind of take people that are popular and we take them as somebody that's credible. You understand what I'm saying? And I think that is what is a real problem, is when we have these people, they're podcasters, it's entertainment, but it's not necessarily journalism. Correct. You know what I mean?
But I think this is such a great point, but I guess does it matter to you guys that this is the Golden Globes that celebrates the best in entertainment, not the best in journalism? Does that matter to you?
But I think that's why to not blur the lines is key. So, I think that, are they going to do it by genre? Like, it sounds like it's going to be one category, best podcast. But you know how many we listen to just on this panel?
Yeah,
I'm sure the one, how do you decide who wins based on what criteria? You know if it's a best actor, it's because of acting.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, what becomes best podcast? I don't know.
And that's what I was talking about with criteria. I think you make a very valid point when it comes to Diary of a CEO. And he probably would expect, if he was put in that category, that he would win. But it's like, you didn't win because you peddle misinformation. So that might help him change the way he does his show.
Point.
And that's why I'm like, the criteria is really going to matter, because if it's a popularity contest, I don't want to see Joe Rogan up there with a cigar every single year going, again. I'm not interested in watching that. Neither is anybody else.
Yeah.
Make it more competitive.
I hear you.
Hey, you, come a bit closer. We've got so many more must-see interviews, spicy debates, lifestyle tips, and pop culture moments. So subscribe to our channel by tapping the logo below and don't miss out.